People, deluded, I'm back again. Now, obviously, in regards to the under-21s championships, Arsenal have a couple of young players there, and obviously there's former players. We'll get onto him in a bit, touch on him briefly, but Jeffrey Adley got another assist. Obviously, you saw Dragomir come on against England as a substitute, and our current employees in Bielik, Nelson, and Guendouzi are currently at the competition, and yeah, man, it's a good competition. For me, I like to, what you lot know me, I like everything from 17s up until first team level. But the under-21s in particular is a funny one for me. You do get couple 18-year-olds and things like that. And as young as Foden, you then get some 23-year-olds like Puskas. And again, I think it's difficult to always judge the level because of the discrepancies at times, but you see a lot of these players get moves and players in certain situations, like for instance our own Bielik. I think sadly Poland are out of the competition. They lost 5-0 in his latest game against Spain. I don't think he played bad, but at the end of the day, he lost 5-0, so I'm pretty sure everybody's licking their wounds. Personally, I've enjoyed watching Poland in this competition. I think them and Romania, to a degree, have surprised me. There's a good couple players there that can get moves. I think against Spain, probably the experience showed in that you have not Asensio, what am I talking about? You have Ceballos, you obviously have, Ruiz, and you've got several other experienced players. Obviously, Poland have the same, but the experience and the 23-year-olds, even like Ruiz, it showed against Spain, man. And I think Italy, it was a similar game to a degree, like against Italy, but Spain were going to take their chances, man. Ozyarzabal, can never say his name, Sociedad winger, playing good as well. So it was a tough pill to swallow, man. And like I said, man, I think Poland were a good team and they represented their nation well at this competition. I feel like scouts will be watching a couple of them will get moves. I think for Bielik's situation, whether he's going to be at Arsenal, which I hope after this he gets his time off or whatever, or if he comes straight into pre-season and plays next season for us, I'll be all for that, people, man. I mean, goes to pre-season next week when it starts and that, and obviously we've got the Bournemouth and going away to America. I'm not sure because he might need a break because he's been playing extended season more or less for Poland's under-21s. Apologies, people. Like I said, for Poland's under-21s, so we'll see. But for me, his future's up in air. We know he's got potential. We're all calling for him to get chances. I feel he deserves chances, people. He's not going to be the Messiah. I actually think he's going to make a lot of mistakes if he was to play because I think he's a promising player. But the Premier League is fine margins and he's still a young player. He's barely made any career appearances. Yes, he's done his thing at Charlton, and I feel any scouts and whatnot that had any doubt about his ability and all this hype and stuff, he's bound to have gained some admirers from this championships, whether that's on loan or on a permanent basis because of his situation. He is a promising player. Centre-half defensive mid. I think his future is probably at centre-half for me, people, anyways. Bringing the ball out. Bravery. He's a very good player. He's still naive. For instance, if you look at 4-0, when is it? Boya Moraya, I can never say his name, the striker, Moraya or something like that. He plays for Madrid and I think he's on loan somewhere. If you go and look at that goal, people, not just Bielik, but Bielik and the whole back line, they're unaware of midfield runners. They're unaware of people running. They're checking inside and then checking out. As a defender, you can't always watch the ball. It's the hardest thing to watch the ball and watch your players because there was a couple of goals, both centre-halves kind of switched off for that, people, I feel. Obviously, what was it? Was it Ceballos' free kick now? He scored a worldie against Italy, forgive me if I'm wrong, but in the last couple of games after that, or whenever I've seen him, he's moving like he wants to do a madness this tournament. He hit the crossbar against someone in the game before this, but Bielik makes a foul because we're being second best to the ball, people, and obviously Ceballos puts in the free kick. If that's in the Premier League, people are not going to care how good Bielik might have played and things like that. They're just going to see that mistake he made. Obviously, Ceballos is a special player from these set pieces. It's not going to happen, but fine margins. I think his heading was okay. I feel Poland were under it, as you would with 5-0. If I'm honest, I don't feel they had much of a challenge. There were a couple of incidences. They did have some neat possession and got in behind, but more often than not, I don't feel Spain really had to get out of first gear. If I was a Spanish player, it must have been enjoyable. Switching play side to side, everybody taking shots, everybody comfortable on the ball. For me, it was a really good game to watch, and it must have been tough for the young Polish people to take, man, because they've had a good competition. They've got 2 wins and a loss now, forgive me if I'm wrong. And it's a sad way. Obviously, no one wants to end it, lose it. No one wants to lose a game full stop 5-0. No one wants to, especially when the stakes are high and things. You don't really want it to happen. I feel the defence was under a lot of pressure, but I don't feel Poland's midfield necessarily helped them out, especially again with midfield runners. If you go and look at the second goal, people, it's not Bielik's fault, but everybody's glued to the ball. I think it comes in from the left-hand side. Everybody's glued to the ball. And if a couple of times, if I just look at Bielik's positioning, again, he's not at fault for it, but if you look at Bielik's positioning, he's technically last man. He's playing everyone on side unnecessarily. There's been times I've seen him play for Charlton and things. He's done that, and there's been sensible strikers that I thought, okay, he's playing me on. Let me get level. It's about being proactive rather than reactive, people. And he's had a promising tournament, and he deserves a chance. Like I said, he's shown. For me, if I had to give him a rating out of 10, I'd say I'd give him a 7, maybe an 8. An 8 probably, man. I'd give him an 8 out of 10 to be fair with you. I think it's difficult, man, because he's had a good season at Charlton. He's had a good under-21s. He should be given the opportunity. People, he's going to make mistakes. He's not going to be the Messiah. He will make mistakes, but it's down to stand by Bielik, and if he gets a chance, and Mavropanos and Nelson, Saka, Amici, all of these young players, because they need to lead us. If we really want to do this Ajax sort of model, you need to be prepared for these sort of players to make mistakes. I feel he's shown he's very unpolished and inexperienced, but there's a diamond to a degree there. I think there's a decent player there. I'm not going to say he can be this and that and the best this and that. I just feel he can be a competent player, either here or elsewhere. He's got 2 years left to run on his deal, I believe. Forgive me if I'm wrong. He's turning 22 in January. Forgive me if I'm wrong. He's played hella games for Charlton. You don't want to go back to 23s. Emre and him have to sit down. If he can be offered the honest chance of competing for a game, to be in a match day squad and starting and things there in training, then by all means go for it. But if Emre is moving iffy, then he needs to leave permanently or on loan, because he cannot go back to playing 23s football. And centre half is a bit of a sticky situation, because you could say there's quantity over quality at the moment. And if you just look at most centre halves, I'd probably say, Holding's going to be here, Socrates is going to be here, people. But look beyond that. You don't, again, regardless of ability and hierarchy, Chambers signed a new deal and then went out on loan, and is seen as one of the players that could be available to depart the club. Koscielny's future's in air. Who else is there, people? Mustafi will probably be at the club realistically, because who's going to buy him? But his future is in air. Do you get it, people? There's probably other examples. So it's a political one. A tough decision has to be made, because you look at Bielik. Mavropanos is probably the most inexperienced in terms of games played in England and things like that. But you look at Bielik, Mavropanos, Chambers, Holding, and even if if Saliba does come in, these are relatively young centre halves. Decisions need to be made for them to develop. People, even the old ones like Koscielny, and I know Monreal's a left back, but at times he's filled in. Decisions need to be made. Mustafi has 2 years left on his deal. Clearly, we know Mustafi, barring a miracle, is not going to improve and cut the mustard. But you get it, people. If you look at our defensive lineup, there's speculation over an incoming one. The only clarity you have in that position is that you would like to see, or you'd think that Holding and Socrates, for instance, would feature significantly next season to some degree. And things, probably Socrates more than Holding if I had to bet on it. As much as I think Holding should be given a chance to develop and stuff, I really like Rob Holding, but we'll see, man. Bielik, I think he deserves a chance. He's played well on loan. He's played well in this competition. He's of age. If he can stay fit, because he has had problems with injuries, he deserves a chance. He's shown he can play in defence. He's shown he can play in midfield. Obviously, he needs to polish up and things, but that gives us an option. We haven't, excluding Torreira, we don't really have someone like him or what he can offer in the squad. So I believe he should be given a chance in pre-season, and as I have previously said, people. And I honestly just believe he should be given a chance to prove himself. Like I said, the standard is high, and I do think he'll make a lot of mistakes, but I think he'll stand up to be counted. What I like about him is he's brave, man. Win, lose, he's a brave lad, and that can't be said about some of these more senior pros, man. So yeah, people. Obviously for Reece Nelson, just a quick note on Reece Nelson, there's no point me doing a separate vid. Hopefully, people forgive me, I don't know who England play in their last game, but England are technically out of the competition. Nelson's played no minutes, more or less, has he? He never came on in the first game, and he never came on against Romania. He's not played, not been the competition you would have liked to have seen from Nelson, and I think he'd probably be... Obviously, you've got a professional job, and it's playing for the country. It goes bigger than what you want to say. Regardless of AD Boothroyd's opinions on him, opinions on that guy as a manager, he's got several options to make, and you have to stand by it, and it's a tournament, man. You're not always going to be asserted done and stuff like that. I would have started him over Demarai Gray, but Demarai Gray scored in the other game, so what can you really say? You'd like to think there'd be some rotation, and with England being out, some players like Nelson that haven't really got an opportunity to show themselves in any light will be given a chance, but it's sad because Nelson, obviously, you probably know if the manager's going to start you or not, but Nelson probably thought, if anything, this could, I want to say jumpstart his Arsenal career, because we know Nelson is a sick footballer, like I've said, and I think he should be given chances. But if it was like a Bielik sort of thing, where people need to be careful with the overhype if they're actually watching the games, where he's obviously having a good competition, and it's undeniable, and obviously if the fans are saying that, then there's got to be some officials or some people whispering the same thing in Arsenal's hierarchy or behind the scenes. He was probably looking at it as I'm going to showcase myself. Even though I'm confident because of my loan spell in Germany, I'm going to come back and do my thing. And he hasn't been given that chance. Hopefully he goes to pre-season and starts pre-season, because him and Bielik, for me, they should be in the squad next season to some capacity. Obviously, shout out to Guendouzi, similar. He didn't start the first game for France. He came on after 72 minutes in their last game. Couple neat little passes, but by then, realistically, the game was done. In all honesty, France completely dominated. Ikone's a lovely footballer, people, and I must admit, I do think he's a gamble, but I think maybe some Premier League sides should look at him. Jeffrey Adley got another assist in the game, and it was lovely to see, man. I think the interchanging movement between France's attacking five at times, it was crazy, people, but with the furthest five positions, I think Encham showed his ability. I really like Encham, people, man. I know we're looking at Turney, but I really think we should look at Encham potentially as well, man. I really like him. I think he could be a bit like Diaby, man, in the future, or everything that Diaby was unable to be, sadly, because of injuries. On that note, people, Deluded, I'm out. Thank you for watching.